Thank y'all. Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Mayor. The reason that we've been here so much is not just that we believe in Eastern Kentucky, in this county, and in this city, but it's the right place to be. What you've gone through is something that nobody, no county, should ever have to endure, no region should ever have to see. I mean, the loss of so many people, and then thousands of our fellow Kentuckians, our neighbors, our friends, people we go to church with and work with, just losing everything. And I don't think most people truly understand when we say losing everything. It means that those that we were pulling up into helicopters literally only had the clothes on their back, and we're thankful just to be alive. Over the course of that night, I was in the Emergency Operations Center as we were hearing about what was happening and immediately planning missions. We couldn't get a plane off the ground because it was still raining that next day, but I stayed that entire day in that facility planning where the National Guard was going to go, calling personally the governor of West Virginia, getting more helicopters with the hoists that would come in. And I'm convinced, and it's because everybody in this room, especially you and EMS and so many others, law enforcement, that we saw the best emergency response in terms of lives saved that we have seen in United States history. More than 1,300 people rescued, and that's just by first responders. We've got the best National Guard in the entire country right here in Kentucky. But we also have the best state police, fish and wildlife, local law enforcement, firefighters, my goodness. But the thing that will always stick with me is for those 1,300 people, there's at least another 1,300 people that were just rescued by their neighbors who are doing the right thing. Now, I've always told people that if you ever think you're going to lose your faith in humanity, just look at how people respond after one of these natural disasters, how good they are, the things they're willing to do and sacrifice for one another. It is truly amazing. And as we see some other good things that are going on right now in the Commonwealth, breaking economic development record after economic development record, which is going to lift up this entire Commonwealth, I think the reason that it's happening is whether people tuned in to see devastation after the tornadoes in my dad's hometown, or whether they were tuning in to see the power of a flood this size. What they really saw were really great people that they now want to be a part of, knowing Kentucky is absolutely where it's at. Now, I was here that first day that I could be. This was the first place I think we came. And the promise that I made is the same as the promise that everybody else in this room has made, is that we're in this for the long haul. Every day, every week, every month, every year it takes to rebuild, we are going to get this done. That's our job. In many ways, it's our most sacred duty to be there for our fellow human being that is knocked down. But the other thing we've got to do is make sure we move forward together, that we don't let even a once-in-a-century pandemic, or tornadoes or flooding, 2 ice storms, inflation, a war in Europe, none of it. We can't let any of it stop us, because that future generation that I just got to see at the combined school, that y'all have to be so proud of how that was pulled together, getting people in school so quickly. Those kids deserve the brightest future that we don't let anything get in the way of. And that is what we are doing here today. I want to thank everybody who works here locally, all of our charitable organizations that help from rebuilding to meeting basic needs. I got to take a minute to talk about emergency management. My goodness. Talk about leadership in the most difficult of times. Thank you for what you do. He'd tell you we talked every day for about 2 months.
Yes, we did.
And a lot of those days, and it's understandable, was somebody looking at the screen saying, my goodness, look around. What do we do? And the answer is put one foot in front of the other. Now, this is going to be the most difficult rebuild, I believe, in the history of the United States, but I think we're tough enough, and I think we're up for it. Now, this is going to take us years. But if we do it right, I think we have an opportunity to fix infrastructure, which has been holding us back for too long, to reimagine neighborhoods and opportunities. If we secure enough land, think about more flat land for economic development and more jobs in the region. No one ever wants to go through something like this. But I think our goal has to be, in dealing with it, to provide more opportunity than ever for those that have been through the type of trauma that the people of this region have. I want to take just a minute to recognize the loss of 44 Kentuckians, each a child of God. And while it is a miracle that we did not lose more, and I give that to God and to everybody he was working through, losing 44 people is hard. And I know they're people that you know and love, and they're irreplaceable. But 6 months later, we have an obligation to them and to everybody who lost so much, not just to do this, but to do this right. We look at different numbers that we've seen in these last 7 months. FEMA's now provided $183.3 million into anybody that's out there. It's been denied or haven't gotten what you deserve. Keep working. We're seeing about $600,000 in new dollars go out every single week. So please do not give up. Through a truly special session, and I mean that. I wouldn't call many of our sessions of the General Assembly special from my viewpoint. But we had not a bipartisan, but a nonpartisan special session that unlocked about $212 million, and while I know we need dollars in other areas, when, in the last 10 years, with all the noise that we see around government or politics, have we seen a totally nonpartisan special session just trying to do the right thing? We've raised $13 million in the Team Eastern Kentucky Flood Relief Fund that's going to join so many others to help build the homes of the future. And right before Christmas, as a Christmas present, I think, to all of us, we announced the first new high ground community in Knott County called Olive Branch. So to kick us off today, I'm thrilled to announce a second location for building in Eastern Kentucky, this time on high ground right here in Hazard, Kentucky. Just 5 miles from downtown Hazard, the 50-acre building site is close to schools, shopping centers, and the Hazard ARH Regional Medical Center. The first phase of the site could include approximately 150 houses. It would be partially funded by the Team Eastern Kentucky Flood Relief Fund in partnership with so many others. Rebuilding on high ground is a chance to lift up communities, to make sure those that are willing to move there never have to go through what we have seen, to build safe, affordable, energy-efficient homes, to do the infrastructure in a way that solves decades of challenges and allows for more growth and more resiliency, even in our existing infrastructure with future flooding. That's why I want us all to give a special thanks to Paul Eisen, who owns this prime real estate but is donating these 50 acres to help us rebuild. Paul, I know you're here with your family. If y'all would step up so we can recognize the whole Eisen family. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Man, and Rocky's hard to say no to. So as a second announcement that we put out a couple of weeks ago, I wanted to tell you that I made a decision that is something I normally don't do. See, I wanted to be Kentucky's governor to be Kentucky's governor. And I hope you've seen I have focused on this state and not all the national things that are going on or any of the fights that are going on in D.C. And most of the time, when I'm asked to chair something in partnership out of D.C., I say no. When the Appalachian Regional Commission called and asked me to be the governor co-chair, I saw a huge opportunity to continue to lift up Eastern Kentucky, to make sure that we got our share of record dollars, and my belief that it could help in the rebuilding of this community. And so they announced about a week ago that I, as governor of Kentucky, am now the co-chair of the Appalachian Regional Commission. And that leads into our second piece of good news today, because today we're announcing some grants from both the Appalachian Regional Commission that have now approved some requests that we had previously made for $7.8 million in funding in this county. On top of that, through our Cleaner Water program that we previously had some other grants for, we're going to announce another $1.7 million in grants for Buckhorn, Hazard, and Perry County. So let's get to it. First, I am announcing more than $743,000 in ARC funds to provide essential sewer and water infrastructure to the city of Buckhorn. This project will ultimately allow a new and much-needed water treatment plant to be constructed and operated. So I think we have Mayor Paul Robbie. I thought we were going to have the mayor with us. There you are. Oh, great. Paul Robbie Turner, Mayor Turner, to please join me and say a few words. The check's still good, Mayor Turner. Hey, thank you for being here. And let me, come on, Judge, jump in here.
Judge, this is part of that.
This helps the whole region. All right. You want to say something about the project?
Didn't really have anything planned, but so we've had this project, my understanding, has been in the works for quite some time, and it's a multiple piece project. This sewer plant relocation has to occur before the water plant can happen. Mm-hmm. So this is a move in the right direction. We're seeing progress. It's not only going to be good for Buckhorn, but it'll be good for the whole county, I think. So thank you, and good to be here.
All right. Next up, we are announcing funding for 5 separate projects in Hazard. The first one's a big one, $1,977,000 in ARC for sewer line improvements in downtown Hazard. The project, yeah. The project will improve sewer service for more than 2,000 households and 280 businesses, and I guarantee it'll attract more businesses. More than $1 million, but I don't want to short the mayor, $1,017,848 in ARC funds is going to replace a water line along Route 476, improving water service for 1,700 households and 200 new businesses. $972,000 in ARC funds are going to water lines in the Christopher community. That's going to improve water service for 180 households and 7 businesses. More than $300,000 to install new water line to improve water service for more than 600 households and 29 businesses. And finally, we can announce more than $238,000 in the Cleaner Water Program funds to improve water service for 8 homes in the Napier Ridge Road area. Let's give it up for the mayor and these projects.
Get in here, Scott. Lord, you got all kinds of checks.
You want to get to the side of that, Governor? Hold
Sure.
it.
I take directions well.
And Scott steals these checks and brings them to the fiscal court. First of all, this is amazing, and the mayor of Buckhorn, one thing, the way we got this all started was the city of Buckhorn, Hazard, and Perry County all went together and started applying for grants to get the new water plant. And this is amazing that we're being awarded all this money. But this wouldn't happen if Scott didn't push. When I first became the mayor, he brought me a big plan, said this is what we need to do, and we've worked real well together. But the people in the room, you know, we asked for a lot.
You get a lot.
And we asked for a lot, but I got to get one person to stand up because we asked for it. She gets it all. Angie, stand up for just a minute, honey. she does all of the paperwork, gets it done, and the first person I met with, and it's nonpartisan and everything, we had a meeting, and the only time we could meet was, I've been the mayor for about a month, and we met like pretty much on the road in London, but Hal Rogers has been real instrumental in pushing for this water plant at Buckhorn, and we need to give him a hand also. And like the judge says, you know, we can't thank the governor enough. I mean, he's been here, and him and Rocky and them, they told us, we said, you know, this disaster, it's bigger than us. They said, we're not gonna leave you. We're not gonna let you go broke. And they have kept their word, and we need to thank them for that.
We have a representative from Hal Rogers' office that's here with us today. I was able in Pike County to also say, please thank him. And when you talk about working together, this administration has had a great relationship with Congressman Rogers to work to get the funding that we need for so many different projects. Let me also echo, y'all have the best grant writers in the state, my goodness. That is your very well-kept secret, but the media's here today, so I'm sorry I blew it for you. All right, now for the Perry County Fiscal Court. We have a nearly $1.6 million check in ARC funds to replace the water line in the former city of Vico water distribution system. The project will improve water safety and service for 200 households and 2 businesses. Today, we can also announce $1.2 million in ARC funds to extend sewer service to households on Upper Second Creek Road. On top of that, there's more. We are committing $1.4 million from the Cleaner Water Program for that same project, which will extend sewer service to 53 households. Judge Alexander.
Jimmy Lou. Jimmy Lou.
No, it ain't.
There you go. Y'all hold these. Y'all pass them down. I don't need to.
No, get right in here.
Let everybody get.
Here, me and you, there you go. Ron, I know which one you want.
Oh, outside.
Outside of the, slide that way just a little.
Yeah. Jim's bossy. All right. Go ahead.
Just real quick, Governor, just another big thank you to continue to extend the infrastructure in our community. Makes this community more whole. The Perry County water system / used to be the Vico water system has been a very valuable asset as we've tried to solve the water issues. That we maintained that system and were able at times to feed through an interconnect to help to get our other systems back up and going. And anytime we can reach out and offer the wastewater to families and homes, it helps their property, it helps their value, and it helps our community grow. So thank you.
Thank you. So I mentioned when we were able to announce the first high ground community that we were going to build, it was a nice Christmas present to the people of Kentucky. Today, the second is a nice birthday present to Judge Scott Alexander. And I think all of Kentucky. But my dad taught me on somebody's birthday, you have to sing to them and embarrass them. So, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Scott. Happy birthday to you. Not a bad birthday that comes with hope and several $1 million. All right, these next announcements are really special. They are from our administration's Nonprofit Assistance Fund. This was set up to help so many incredible organizations that do amazing work make sure they can get out of this pandemic, that the extra expenses that are always going to come with dealing with something like that don't hold them back from doing the amazing work they do. And it's a chance for us to commend incredible organizations in being out there in changing people's lives, in helping them, and oftentimes being there for them at their most difficult moments. These organizations provide families with assistance, advocacy, and aid. They foster education and culture through the arts. With this relief, it means these amazing organizations that serve your community are going to be able to continue and do even more. So as the first announcement, I'm happy to present $100,000 to Go Hire Employment and Development. Go Hire puts people to work, keeps them learning and moving forward, and helps businesses thrive and expand in these challenging times. Would Judge Alexander please join me to accept this check? You want to mention about the organization?
Just real quickly, we want to thank Go Hire for their commitment to the community and the multiple communities that they represent that's had the flooding. And you said it earlier, and we couldn't have made it without these groups helping us to get through this. Just another amazing organization. Thank you.
All right. Next one's exciting because it's such an exciting organization that is a gem for this community. We're also presenting $100,000 to the Challenger Learning Center of Kentucky, Inc. The center provides a first-class space-based learning environment where school children, families, senior citizens, corporate teams, and other community members fly simulated space missions. With over 23 years of missions, summer programs, school outreach, and other events, the center is pushing forward in its mission to bring hands-on STEAM education to students in Eastern Kentucky and beyond. Tom, y'all do incredible work. If you'd please accept this check.
Thank you. We certainly will.
Very welcome. All right. Brag on your organization a little bit.
Thank you very much.
Y'all deserve it.
I'd like to thank the governor and the Kentucky Nonprofit Network for making this possible. They lobbied the legislature last year to get this fund together, and it helped so much coming off of COVID. Of course, most of you probably know from March 2020 until March 2022, we had no schools visit the Challenger Center, which means no income for our organization. So between the PPP assistance and so forth and the nonprofit network and the governor is helping us get back on our feet and get started. The governor also had approved a ARC grant in the fall of 2020. If you saw the Hazard Herald last week, you saw that we have a lot of new things coming to the Challenger Center, and we're hoping to have a grand opening for that sometime soon as we open up the new Moon, Mars, and Beyond interactive exhibit, which is going to be about the Artemis missions to return to the moon.
Wow.
So, thank you, Governor.
I
We
look forward to
appreciate
coming.
it for all that.
Yes.
We want your kids to come.
I'll come.
Yeah.
This is when I admit to all of you I went to space camp. Entirely true. So the next group is one that's really special all around the United States of America. What the Salvation Army does for our people is nothing short of incredible. And you all might have seen that Brittany and I wanted to personally support it this year right before Christmas. And to raise awareness, we held a competition between the two of us as we rang bells outside of a Kroger. But Brittany brought the dog. And I lost badly. But today, we're happy to present nearly $4,000 to the Salvation Army of Perry County, which is ready with immediate services for Kentuckians in this community who go through personal or natural disaster. So we've got Captain Ken Griffey and Perry County Chair Missy Miller here to accept this check and take a minute to brag on an incredible organization. Anybody, come on. say a few words?
Well, we'd like to first off thank the governor and the Kentucky General Assembly for their funds to help us continue to do what we do. We'd also like to thank our volunteers here, Missy. She's our chair here in service unit here in Kentucky, or I'm sorry, in Hazard County. But would you like to say a couple words? Okay. Well, and her volunteers. Without our volunteers, we couldn't do what we do. So we thank all of our volunteers. Here recently, you all had a flood last year. We've heard about it from our governor. And I was down in the bottom. I went down there with my canteen truck, and I visited with the people myself, and just so many people were hurt. And I remember going up to one fella and bringing him some food. And he just broke down, and praying with him. And he just broke down and started to cry and sob because he had lost so much. But he said, I thank God for you and your help with us. So we couldn't do it without you. And we encourage you, all that give, to continue to give, trusting in our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ and thanking him that they say, well, where's God in all this? Well, God comes through us, amen. And without you, we couldn't do what we do. And again, we'd love to thank our great governor for all he's doing and continues to do. God bless you guys.
God bless you. Now, I'm happy to present $100,000 to Redbud Financial Alternatives. Which y'all know helps Eastern Kentuckians navigate difficult financial times and reach financial goals. So, James, will you please accept this check? There you go. You're very welcome. All right. Please.
We'd like to thank the governor and the Team Kentucky Fund for helping us help our community, especially after the flooding. Gives us some extra funds to help more folks, so thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next, I'm presenting $100,000 to the Housing Development Alliance. And let me preface that $100,000 was the maximum award under the law. Because you know HDA is a nonprofit affordable housing developer that, my goodness, is doing so much great work here in Eastern Kentucky. Their programs have helped more than 2,900 low-income people in rural southeastern Kentucky become new homeowners. But you know what? Over this next couple years, we are going to do so much more. In addition to today's award, we announced in December that the Team Eastern Kentucky Flood Relief Fund is committing $600,000 in funds to build 8 new homes in partnership with HDA and Homes, Inc. The fund is providing $75,000 per home for building materials. So you all know Scott McReynolds, amazing man, doing amazing work that's going to help us rebuild this area. We'll keep trying to find new sources. All right, please.
Thank you, Governor. I would also take the moment to thank Secretary Perry. Your staff was great to work with on this program. A lot of times, government applications are a little bit convoluted and complicated, and this one wasn't. So thank you for that, because to me, this is about capacity. All of these amazing nonprofits, all of us struggled because of COVID. And if we're not here, then the services we provide don't happen. And if we needed an example of why nonprofits are important, I think it's the flood. You know, the nonprofits working with the local government and the state government and the federal government have been on the front lines of the flood relief and now the recovery. And the importance of this money is really is that we're still here to do that work.
Yes, sir.
And we are very, very excited about both the Knott County announcement and this one. We're delighted and looking forward to getting busy building some houses. Thank you very much, Governor.
Thank you. And if I can make one quick introduction, because you're going to hear from Rocky in a minute, and I don't have to introduce any of y'all to Rocky. We have Secretary Ray Perry. He runs the Public Protection Cabinet in Frankfurt that already has a big job. But starting during COVID and continuing through these natural disasters, they've stepped up and run all these funds that have gotten dollars out into people's hands that have needed them. Whether it's a fund to help for eviction relief, whether it's the Team Western Kentucky Tornado Relief Fund or Eastern Kentucky Flood Relief Fund, they have gone above and beyond. Full transparency, open to open records, audited. They have done an incredible job to make sure the dollars get where they need to go without taking any administrative fees at all. So thank y'all. Next, I am happy to present more than $40,000 to the Eastern Kentucky Concentrated Employment Program. EKCEP is working hard to prepare, advance, and expand the workforce of Eastern Kentucky. It's providing more and better job opportunities, a better educated and a better prepared workforce, and a more diverse economy in the region. And let me tell you, we are seeing companies come to more and different places than ever before with the phone ringing off the hook. And having those workforce development programs in place is how you answer the first question they're going to ask, and is going to be a big help to getting more employment right here in this county. So, Director of Finance Tanya Collins here to accept this check. Director of Finance did a pretty good job to accept the check. All right, want to talk about your great program?
EKCEP just wants to thank the governor and the Kentucky, the KNN. And this is allowing us to go along with flood funds that we've received from the state to provide workforce services to those affected by the flood and everything else we offer. We've currently partnered with over 30 employers, and we've put over 150 people to work to provide humanitarian aid and flood relief efforts in all of the region that was flooded. So thank you so very much.
Thank you. Before I turn it over to Rocky, I'd just say, you know, we've been through a lot. We've been through a lot these last 3 years, and in many ways more than I think anybody could imagine can happen in just 3 years. From pandemics to natural disasters. Do y'all remember the ice storms? We had a couple of those. To a polar plunge, where some areas reached almost negative 45 degrees, and yet another state of emergency. But I'm really convinced that we are turning the page here in Kentucky. While there is so much work to do, it reminds me of a psalm that talks about while there might be weeping that lingers into the evening, there is joy in the morning. And that's what our job is to do. It's to turn that page from a time of great difficulty to a time of great opportunity and prosperity. I want to thank this family that's going to help make that happen with new homes here in the region of not sold but donated land that we're going to be able to do it on. I want to thank all the employers that we have seen over these last couple of years believe in us with our best 2 years of economic development we've ever had by far, beating out other states that used to win those opportunities, becoming the electric vehicle battery production capital of the United States of America, which is going to bring supply chain opportunities all across this state, creating more jobs in a 3-year period than we've ever seen in a 4, 5, or 6-year period. But our goal is that it has to come everywhere. And more of those jobs have to come here in Eastern Kentucky. It's not just enough to rebuild. Eastern Kentucky has to be a part of the prosperity I think we are seeing in Kentucky, where we are going to become an economic leader, not a follower, a destination, and never a flyover state again. My commitment to you, just like my commitment to rebuilding, which I hope you all can feel. It's one of the most important things I will ever do in this role, is to make sure that we have more employers, more chances, more opportunities, because how I feel it is being the dad of a 12 and a 13-year-old. I love those kids more than life itself. They gave me a level of purpose I don't think I will ever be able to describe, and were a big reason that I left a private sector job and went into public service. You know, my kids deserve a better world, and so do yours. But when we look at what we have watched for so many decades in Eastern Kentucky and across Kentucky, there's far too many of our kids moving from this state or this region to somewhere else. I'm here telling you we are as closer as we have ever been to turning that around, to having the type of opportunities here in Kentucky, and it should be in every region, where no matter how big our kids dream, they can chase that dream right here in Kentucky, and you know what? They ought to be able to chase it in eastern Kentucky. As Rocky always says, and he will, this country wouldn't be where it is without eastern Kentucky and what it did for the entire United States. So my promise as governor is we will remain laser focused, and if it can give you a little bit of hope, every major county hit in the West, we've announced new jobs in those counties in the last several months. Because when people tuned in to see record flooding, they saw incredible people, and I think they're going to want to be a part of that. Our commitment is to continue to build out this infrastructure, which is absolutely necessary, whether it's flat land or roads or water or broadband, you name it, to make sure you have every competitive advantage of anywhere else in Kentucky. We are one Commonwealth, and we are one people. But we have to make sure that parts of Kentucky that have been ignored or not gotten their due for far too long are at the top of the list, and that we push, and that we push, and that we push to provide every opportunity right here. We're going to keep working on that. And the reason you know we're going to keep working on that is the guy whose office is just 2 doors down from me, a guy named Rocky Atkins, who gets to work as early as anybody with a giant cup of coffee every day. That's the biggest cup of McDonald's coffee